Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rogue Gateway Rotary. We're excited you're here. I would like to invite Lisa Roth for the pledge and the four-way test. Please join me.
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test are the things we think, say, or do. One,
This is a truth. Two, this is fair of all concerned. Third, will build goodwill and better friendships. Four, will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Lisa. And I would like to invite Susan Fisher-Mackey up for inspiration. Did I lose her? Oh, there she is. Susan Fisher-Mackey.
Oh, it's me. Inspirational. Fire. Yes. I love I know. Happy Thursday. It's a great day. It's great to be together. I feel like maybe I was into the ministry just then. Okay, I'm gonna add that because I had something all written up, but things happen. This morning I was invited out to one of our local school districts, and we were in the Illinois Valley, and a staff member from our bus drivers to our administration were in one room together thinking about our students that are going to be with them soon. And what I took inspiration from them is the fact that when we as adults come together and hold tight to what it is we're working towards every day, even when we're tired, even when things feel heavy, that the youth will inspire us and we know that we are planting seeds for the future. We really do have some quotes. Do you have two things you could say while I find my quotes? I can. Absolutely.
We do have some announcements this morning. I have one. I've got Jim on my list also, but I had an email from the Friday Club, Marla Kasdorf. She cannot make it today, but she has a couple coming October 1st through 4th from Lexington, Kentucky for a Rotary Friendship Exchange. And she needs one more host for a couple, no allergies, no mobility issues, for a place to sleep, a couple of meals. We have a full agenda planned. Please call or text Marla Kasdorf at 541-295-0777 if you're interested in helping. Hosting helps give you points for your own future travel with Rotary Friendship. And I do have that information here printed out. If you are interested, just come and grab it from me.
I was in the wrong inbox. I was also thinking about how our amazing chamber is here today to share. And so that intersection of education and commerce. So liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people who have a right from the frame of their nature to knowledge and of the characters and conducts of their rulers. And that was John Adams from 1765. And as I was thinking about this, recognizing that Adams wrote this 11 years before the independence of our country. And again, thinking about the fact that when we plant seeds, they'll bear fruit in the future. And finally, education then, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of humans, the balance wheel of social fabric. What I would say is we know that we are continuing to seek a more perfect form of education and learning and opening the doors of equity there. So I hope that as you see our students gathering supplies at the store or walking to their first bus ride next week, that you'll just remember that there's so much for us to be grateful for.
Hello, Nikki Bieber here. As you're aware, our club has done a global grant where we completed it and are waiting for approval from PRF to close it for a water project in Cozumel, Mexico. It's about $57,000 project. And we couldn't do it alone. The Medford Club helped with some money, and there was a club in Dallas, Texas, Prestonwood, that helped with some money to come up with the minimums for the match from the TRF. So, something that I'd like our club to think about in the future is partnering and helping with other clubs in Rotary, not just in our district, but also in other districts. Now, Prestonwood, which is in Dallas, is doing a global grant of their own right now, having to do with human trafficking in Nepal. And they are looking for, they've got to raise $33,000 until they get to the matches for TRF in their districts. And they're about $9,000 short at this moment. They are going to be able to put in another $2,500, and they're reaching out to many other clubs. Now, this is a planning project. So this isn't something that they need money now. It's that these global grants take years to put together. They're looking for commitments from different clubs, and they've requested asking if our club would commit for something. Now, this is something I brought up to the board, and the board suggested I bring it up for the club to see how or if our club is interested in participating with other clubs for larger projects. I myself am thinking like $500 would be something good to commit to. Don't have to do it now, don't need to pay the money now, but what I'm looking for is for you to think about and to pray about, what do we want to do with the club? Do we want to participate in things like this? Do we want to make commitments to other clubs and the projects that they've done? And let's remember, this club helped us with $3,000. Yes, Brenda?
That's microphone. Okay, clock was. Well, the floor. Put the fan.
I just want to add my support right now, and especially in Nepal. There's a lot of new people in this club, so they don't know some of our history, but we have a history with Nepal. One of our very first international project was through Patty Rana, was a big worker on the fundraisers. And she went 3 times. So anyway, we have a connection in Nepal, and I would love to continue that connection. And it was a big one. We built a clinic in Bodachar, and it took a lot of money, and we had other clubs join with us, and it's an awesome experience. So thank you, Jim, for bringing that to us.
Okay, I just, like I said, I'd like everybody to think about it, and not just this project, but going forward in future months and years. How or do we want to participate in this manner with other clubs in Rotary, both in the district, nationally, and possibly internationally? But we need to make some choices as a club of how we want to spend funds, and then also how we want to raise those funds.
Thank you, Jim.
I just want to jump in real quick and remind you, if you haven't signed in yet, please do so with Melissa with Wild River.
Just a quick announcement for those of you who like to do Rogue Gateway Rotary reads. Pat Bath has agreed to host a critique or celebration of reading the Nordic theory of everything. So anyone who is interested, on September the 15th, we will meet at Pat's house at 5 o'clock. I'll put something in the e-navigator.
Okay, back to school. Well, back to school means our student service of our self-award program is going to be back in full gear. Our first award will be October the 15th. So what that means is I got to get gifts. And I need to I have 8 students, 8 high schools, well, 7 high schools and the Boys and Girls Club, but we award every year. And so at the beginning of the year, and she stores all my stuff, gives me the bags, but now we have to fill them. Cards, I need 8, like State Farm gave really cool backpacks in this little thing that pop out. And water bottles and all kinds of things, kind of give the bag a fun feel to it. And then, of course, money goes to the through foundation so that you can have the tax deductibility benefit. And so that's what I'm after. I will send an email to remind you and just think about it and think quick though. I don't have the awards all figured because I collect all 8 bags. All bags except for the check of the certificate, obviously. And then Bayla stores them. We're good to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa, for all the good work you do with our student service about self project.
Tonight's the big night for me and all of you at my home. Just a reminder, there's plenty of parking. Bring a chair if you have one, and we should be having a great time tonight. If you have any questions, just let me know. I still have a little bit more cleaning to do when I get home and get all set up for it.
About the cleaning.
No. There's a purpose. My house hasn't been this clean in years. Or my yard, it's beautiful. So I have, I told you about Marla. Let me see, I know I had a couple other announcements. I mentioned Wild River. The other thing I have is some thank you cards. To the Rogue Gateway Rotary Foundation. I got these from Jam last night, and these are always really nice to hear because I know how hard we've all worked together to contribute to our community. So RG Rotary Foundation, this is from the Children's Advocacy Center. We are incredibly grateful to the Rogue Gateway Rotary Club for selecting the CAC as a recipient of the proceeds from Porch Fest 2026. Your generosity will help support the expansion of our medical program, ensuring that children in our community have access to critical medical evaluations and compassionate care when abuse is suspected. Last year, our center experienced a 30% increase to child abuse cases, and that need has continued into this year. Community partnerships like yours make it possible for us to continue providing essential services to the children and families during some of the most difficult moments of their lives. Thank you for investing in the safety, healing, and hope of Josephine County's children. Your support makes a difference. Terry Hopkins and CAC team. It's a really great thank you part of that. I was happy to share that with you. I have another one from the Boys and Girls Club. Dear our friends from the Rogue Gateway Rotary Club and the RG Rotary Foundation, your support helps create safe, welcoming places where kids can learn, grow, and have fun when school is out, and that makes a difference every day. At Boys and Girls Club of the Rogue Valley, kids have a place where they can feel safe, build friendships, try new things, and simply enjoy being kids. Whether they're creating art, playing games, getting active, exploring hands-on activities, or spending time with caring mentors and friends, our clubs give young people a positive place to belong after school and throughout the summer. We received your donation and are so grateful for your generous support raised through Porch Fest. Thank you. This year's funding provides vital general support that helps make all of this possible. Your generosity helps us keep our doors open, our programs engaging, and our clubs safe and welcoming for local kids and families. Porch Fest is such a wonderful example of our community cause, and we are grateful to Rogue Gateway Rotary, RG Rotary Foundation, and everyone who helped make the event a success. Because of you, more kids in our community have a safe place to go, caring people in their corner, and plenty of opportunities to learn, laugh, play, and grow. Grateful for your support, Jessica King, CEO. I think that is all of my things.
Ask if anybody needs to sign up for their socials.
Does anybody still need to sign up for the social today? Thank you, Sally. Oh, all right. Okay, I'm really excited to introduce a very dear friend of mine who's going to introduce our speaker today. But I did skip something actually, now that I'm catching up with myself. I want to say thank you to Becca for doing tech again. And I want to say thank you to Becca for being our greeter today. I'd also like to welcome our guest, Erin. Came with Susan Fisher Maskey after today. Erin, what's your last name? Oh, okay. Very nice to have you here joining us. Did I miss any other visiting Rotarians or guests today?
I have my son here.
Oliver, welcome back. all of our research presenter last week. You did a great presentation. And I know that you'll all be at the event tonight. So I think there's going to be some great conversations there. So once again, I'd love to introduce Nikki Bieber. Come on down and introduce our presenter today. It's really great to see you again. We have missed you. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Really, really good to see you guys. I've missed you a lot. It's surreal being on the other side of this, but I'm honored to be here today. I am the Regional Workforce Coordinator for Rogue Workforce Partnership in connection with Josephine County Chamber of Commerce. I did not realize the amount of work that the Commerce does. Working there, I'm in my 3rd week and I felt so welcome and really, really awesome. Terry is a champion for our community. He is a genuine, empathetic cheerleader that I've ever had. So anyways, it's my honor to introduce Terry Hopkins. So let's give it up for Terry.
I love bringing her back up here because it's fun to have Nikki introduce me to talk about a program that primarily involves her. But as much as like my style is, I am absolutely honored to be here. So many familiar faces in the room. I know many of you know what the chamber does. I mean, we're over 100 years old. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of a reminder of our focus, our purpose, and some of the ways we make that come to life. We'll talk about some of the growth that we've enjoyed over the last year, but really I'll probably open it up longer than most speakers for question and answers because there is so much going on. I want to touch on the things that are important to you and this club. So as I go through, please feel free to be gathering some questions for me because again, we do a lot. Some things have never changed over the course of that 100 years. Our mission has remained to support and promote local commerce through communication, advocacy, and partnerships. And that foundation is rooted in our business community and the connections that happen there. Our greeters, our ribbon cuttings, our business after hours, the educational pieces that we bring to the community, young professionals network. That is the foundation of who we are, and that will never, ever change. With that being said, there's a lot of, my job. It's an honor to represent that business community, and it's not me coming in with Terry's agenda. We have incredible committees. We do business surveys. We have government affairs committee, young professionals network, business retention and expansion, finance committee, so on and so forth. And my work is directed essentially by you. I mean, as Rotarians, this club is a chamber member, and so thank you. And that's why I do want to hear back from you. As I kind of wrap up the summer, we are super excited to have concerts in the park back in Riverside Park for the 2nd year. It's also represented our 40th year of providing free family-friendly concerts to the community. As many of you are screening our bands, we're making sure that they're appropriate for families and children. All of our vendors, if they provide something, whether it's an activity or something free for the kids, there's no charge to be there. We really appreciate the opportunity for our community, our families, and our next generation, specifically our youth, to come together and enjoy free cultural arts in the community. And that 40 years being back in Riverside Park is really, really special. As we talk about supporting the kids in the next generation, it's not just community development and making this a great place to work, live, and do business, but it is going beyond that and inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. And if you did not get out to enjoy Lemonade Day, you really missed out. So this is our 6th year of bringing this to the community. Lemonade Day this year saw over 300 young entrepreneurs. They are from kindergarten up to 8th grade. We don't cut them off at 8th grade. We have a team pack, but primarily focused on that, 3rd through 8th grade. It is completely free to participate. Thanks to our generous sponsors. Again, you're going to find the Rotary name on the back of those shirts making this happen. But all kids who participate will get a workbook. They're going to get a backpack, a pencil pouch, and a shirt. And then we host a resource fair. And as they work through their workbook, it is absolutely incredible to see the level of creativity, passion, and these kids really putting in the work. They go through financial literacy, whether that's setting a goal, writing a business plan, costing out their product, being able to count back change when somebody pays with cash. We move through marketing strategies, we move through customer service, we move through food safety, and then we even move into being part of our community. So the kids do not report back to me how much they earn, how much they make, and we do not require them to give back, but as part of the business association, we remind kids that it's not just about being a business, it's about being a part of your community. And we also work through them identifying nonprofits. And it is just absolutely incredible, not just to see these kids open up their stands, but their signs. If there's a flavor of lemonade that you could imagine that wasn't out there, I personally can't think of it. I mean, we had sparkles, we had Bubba, we had ribbed cups, we had ice from Sonic, and everything you could imagine. I mean, inspiration. I think as business leaders, we probably should have come back and taken a few notes. But at the end of the day, when these kids walk in with $8 and slap it on the counter at the Humane Society or our local food pantry, and puff up their chest like they are part of our community. I'm choking up just talking about this because it really is, and the impact that has on these kids, the next generation of business folks in our community is incredible. So thank you to you in this room for supporting that program. It was amazing. Again, over 300 kids participated this year with nearly 100 stands throughout Grants Pass and Josephine County. And it's large you guys, so thank you. In addition, that was to do, we still do some of our core, most basic functions. We've got our candidate forum coming up. Again, on today's presentation, I'm not going to dive real deep into the government affairs or advocacy piece, but during Q&A, if you want to hear more about that, I'm happy to talk about that. I also sit on the board for the Oregon State Chamber of Commerce, OBI, or Oregon Business and Industry. I spend time in Salem. I'm making sure that the voice of our business community here in rural Oregon is heard. I won't go in depth in that. Welcome phone calls, emails, your input, what your priorities are. But government affairs remains very strong and very healthy. We will have our candidate forums coming up in October. With the deadline for filing happening earlier this week, we just got all the final names. Tentatively speaking, we're going to be around October 13th and 15th for those candidate forums. More information to come there. Had a wonderful wine stroll this year. Our next project coming up is Tap Walk. I left a little flyer on the back table. Tickets for Tap Walk are for sale, and so are sponsorships. And again, that for us is just an opportunity to come together as a community, celebrate the treasures of the Rogue Valley. In this case, it's about beer, but it's not just about going around drinking beer. It's about walking downtown, sharing space with our fellow community members and popping into those stores. There's some great new stores that maybe you haven't been in. So take the time to pop in. We give you a shopping bag. I hope you fill it up. It is kind of my job to promote commerce. So that one is a fun one. And as you all know, the networking, the greeters, the business after hours, the ribbon cutting, just bringing community together to celebrate is one of the big things. In talking to Valerie, Steve, and Jenny about my presentation today, I think there was a little bit of a request of, hey, can we get a general sense of what the business climate is here locally? And I do stay tuned with that. Again, it's a primary function of my job. And we do see some struggles. It's not easy in the business world right now. Downtown, you see some vacant storefronts. But we continue to work and celebrate the wins. I have the Business Retention and Expansion Committee. We'll talk about that here locally. But I think it's important to note that while we still have some challenges ahead, good work is being done. And it's actually a little surprising to hear that over so far, year to date, ending July 31st, we've had 88 new business certificates issued in the city of Grants Pass. At the same time, I'm not going to forget about the fact that we've seen 46 business closings, but we have a net gain of 42 new businesses. Now, that has not translated into filling brick and mortar storefronts downtown. There are other factors playing into that. And we will continue to address those. But generally speaking, I would say on an entrepreneurial front, small business, and thinking back to my friends when I grew up here, who were founders of Dutch Brothers, early on with Dutch Brothers, we're seeing it in so many other companies. Big things can come from small places. And whether that starts with lemonade day or walking some of these entrepreneurs through their journey and getting into those vacant brick and mortar is an honor to me. And I am, although it's been a tough year economically for so many of our businesses, very inspired and very encouraged about the outlook in the future. Chamber reflecting some of that, our membership retention rate 85% over the last year. Industry standard, if you're in the gold standard, you want to be around 85 to 90. The Eugene Chamber of Commerce just won the United States Chamber of the Year, and they touted in their accolades. So one of the things that got them there was an 85% retention rate. So very proud of that number here. My goal, to be honest with you, is 90, but happy with 85. We've had 106 new members join the Chamber of Commerce over the last 12 months. So again, we're starting to see roll, we're starting to see momentum. And whereas people may be watching their dollars, they've been very giving with their time and engagement. We're seeing people show up. They're showing up with a will to learn, a will to give back to the community, and a will to participate. So all very encouraging. I mentioned our business retention and expansion committee and held off on that because in addition to having that solid foundation of networking and doing what we've always done, whether it's been 40 years with Concerts in the Park or 100 years as a chamber, we have built, and it is a reflection, again, of our membership. We do a business retention and expansion business survey every 3 years. I know a lot of you in this room have been part of that for many years. So thank you to those that have been part of that. Steve, I think, been on every single one of them, if I'm not mistaken. But that is my guiding light. When we get those surveys back, what challenges are truly facing our business community? And yes, if I have a business that inquires about coming into Grants Pass as a new business, I'm going to address that. I'm going to take it very seriously. Honestly, I'm probably going to triage the so-in. My focus is not recruitment of new businesses. I'll play in that field. I'm heavily dedicated to retention and expansion and hearing the voice of those local businesses. And so when we dive into that, we have seen a trend over the last 3 surveys, so equating to 12 years, the issues that we can impact locally. If I take consumer confidence, global trade, national and international issues off of the list. I'm not going to ignore them, but I'm not going to impact tariffs at the Grants Pass and Josephine County Chamber. The identifying factor continues to be workforce development. The ability of qualified workers, soft skill training, leadership training. We dive into that and say what's impacting that. Yes, there's some issues impacting that around childcare. We've got solutions in the room here for that too. Affordable housing, or just availability of housing. So we really start to dive deep into what is impacting that number one challenge that business face and getting our hands wet, rolling up our sleeves. And with that, again, it's nice to have Nikki have introduced me because I've had some big wins this year, but none as big as creating the position to address those needs. I have been working on this for about a year. And when I found that Nikki may be a potential candidate for that, let me tell you, I slammed my foot on the accelerator and put this program to the finish line really quick because it wasn't just about the program. It was about the perfect person, the perfect fit that could integrate into that. And that is somebody who has hired, who's given back to our community, who's grown business, that understands financials, that understands what being a big picture piece player in this industry is, and also understands what developing our next generation of workforce looks like. She's hired hundreds of people. She's lived it. She sat here and hosted you guys. It's nice to see her sitting down. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. But an absolutely perfect fit. So I do want to spend just a little bit of time on that. What I did is I have been in partnership with Rogue Workforce Partnership, and it's going to unfold in several different ways. This is going to unlock opportunities for us to integrate into our local school systems with career connected learning. We've already been to D7. We've met with Three Rivers. We're engaging and we always have to some degree, but really amplified now in helping children with resumes, helping with soft skills, interviewing, going through business ethics classes, and then really taking those skills that they're learning in the classroom and in their school and exposing those to real world examples. So we're going to have job shadows. We will certainly amplify. I think we are placing an intern. We've got one at the library and then one this has passed, both in the pipeline. We currently have an intern here. So very hands-on work with career connected learning. Her job is also going to unlock, and I'm going to let you come up and talk, so I'm not going to say it all, but incredible amounts of funding for on-the-job learning, Rogue Elevate that helps upskill people. You know, if you've got a mid-level manager that just needs a little bit of training, a ton of resources programmatically and financially that Nikki's position unlocks. And again, I couldn't have picked a more perfect person to fit into that role. I'm going to say a little bit, give it back to you at the end. The other piece that we identified again with that vacant storefronts, and I'm not trying to be a realtor or a broker, it's certainly way outside of my scope, but for a national brand, or if you are a huge property owner, there are fantastic platforms like LinkNet, Crexy, so on. But those are for the big boys. I mean, we're talking shopping centers and theaters and national brands. You know, if you're a franchisee of Burger King, any others, you know, retail, hospitality, you're on these national boards. We're not seeing that in vacant storefronts downtown. If I'm a property owner that has retail space of 1,500 square feet, it's financially unrealistic and probably the target market that I'm reaching is not on LoopNet, Crexy, national job boards. And we just heard this from folks that are in that space that Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace really don't work. And from the realtor's perspective, although we have a very strong realtor group in this community, there's not a lot of money to be made by a realtor placing somebody in a leased space that's going to be 1,500 square feet. So we recently launched, and it is live, it's still growing, a piece inside of our website called Venture Hub. It is a space where property owners, business owners could list properties for lease, or even if you're selling your property. But then on the backside, what that does is give us the opportunity for these young entrepreneurs that we're helping their businesses grow. We're seeing them come into the marketplace. We are able to connect them with the brick and mortar. So if you're on the grantspasschamber.org website, there's a tab up at the top. Feel free to take it for a spin. If you or anybody you know has commercial space, it is absolutely free to post on there. And we would be happy to have a conversation about that. I'm going to come back for questions.
I would say repeat it. Venture.
Venture with a V.
Okay.
Yeah. The next piece, and we just completed our cohort. I know Susan was in it. If there was anybody else on this, I apologize. But our first year of the Rogue Leadership Training Experience, again, going back to that BRNE survey and what are the needs of our business community. And to be honest, the community as a whole, we launched the Rogue Leadership Training Experience in partnership with Trevor over at the Hive. Trevor, over his years of working with Dutch Brothers, has done the Ford Family Foundation cohort. I think he was in Steve's group there. He's done a ton of leadership training all the way up to Tony Robbins. And he put together not only the curriculum, but the technology to back this very structured leadership training. It is hyper local to our community. And so this is an 8-month program to where there was 28 of us in this last cohort that at the end of the program, we came together and it feels like family. They're stuck with me. Sorry, Susan, for the rest of your life. But we moved through interpersonal, relationship, organizational management, and then a key piece for me when I put this out with Trevor that wasn't in his programming is then taking those skills and moving those into civic and community leadership. And how can we come together to be productive, to agree to disagree, to have civil conversations, to not let things get elevated to the point of what I'm sure we all saw on social media yesterday, and solve problems, and solve some really hard problems. And not always agree, but come together to find solutions. And this program has been absolutely incredible. The first year cohort wrapped up with the graduation in May and has moved into their capstone project. You will see some of the lasting impact that that cohort had coming to your community that I think will last for generations. With that said, the applications are open for the second year cohort. It's a very limited number of people that are accepted. And I have people ask me all the time, well, what kind of person are you looking for to apply for that position? And that's an impossible question. We want as wildly diverse group of people as we can have. It's what makes the cohort work. This last year, in the one Susan and I were in, we had participants that were 16 years old that had permission to leave school one day a month to come to this, all the way up to people that were at the peak of their career, maybe getting ready to retire, that we would all look around the room and say, wow, that's somebody, you know, that is inspiring to me. We had representation from nonprofits. We had representation from elected leaders, aspiring elected leaders, backgrounds politically. I mean, every diverse cross-section you could imagine. We tried to mix oil and water. And it was a wonderful collaboration. I will let you know that on the political side, when we started the cohort, there were two people that we knew were very opposite in their opinion, and we wondered how that would work. We knew going in that we might be causing a little bit of friction, and we did it intentionally. By the end of this 8-month cohort, these two folks that, again, social media and outwardly facing in our community, they're people you would know, sat next to each other every week for the final 3 months of our cohort. They still get together and meet today after that. Neither one of them has changed their political views. Neither one of them has changed how they think that we should solve problems in our community or what side of the ballot box they check. But they come together to talk about real issues. And walking into that room at the beginning of the 8 months, they wouldn't look at each other. So that's the kind of impact that we're looking to have. Another quick story in that, by the end of the cohort, we had to identify our capstone project. And as compared to other, Ford Family did a fantastic job at this space. They're not doing it anymore. But instead of just coming up with a new project, the cohort reached out to nonprofits, community organizations, youth organizations, and said, who's got projects that they're just having trouble getting horsepower behind? And we're not talking about just money or just manpower, but some true leadership. Maybe we need to help systems, procedures, navigating local government. And we had to pick only one, which was very, very difficult because there were a lot of incredible projects. On the final month of the cohort, when we had to do it, again, we'd gone through our civic piece and learned parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules of Order. Our youngest participant, our 16-year-old, who, in my opinion, sorry, Stephen, but was the star of the course, right? Okay, our youngest participant ended up becoming our strongest leader. She led the whole entire group through Robert's Rules of Order, very, very tough meeting, and got the job done in the amount of time and adopted an incredible project. So point being, if you know of anybody that could benefit, if as a club or an individual you want to not but scholarship somebody. A lot of our participants last year were able to go through the program because of generous donors. We have a lot of nonprofit organizations that maybe don't have the finances. And in short, when we rolled this out and did the calculations, we estimated it to be about a $2,500 cost per person for us to put on. We have incredible sponsors, All Care Health, Evergreen Federal, a few more in the wings for this year, but that price has dropped down to $1,500. We do have scholarships available already, a couple for youth, some for nonprofit. So don't let finances be the barrier. If you or somebody you know wants to participate, on the flip side, if you or somebody you know wants to not participate but write a scholarship, we would be happy to talk. And finally, maybe not quite as fun or as exciting, the final new program I want to talk about before I open it up for questions is our group health benefits program that we launched. I don't know if you've seen over the last decade, Bend did a very good job with this, but their program has come to an end. What this does is we've identified that for small employers, specifically employers of 5 or less, you can't even go out and get group health benefits for your employees. And so it makes for very in competitive market, when you're talking about employee retention and recruitment, when you're a small business, they can't offer the same benefits at the same prices that big businesses do. I worked for almost a year negotiating this deal and have made it to where the chamber becomes the umbrella for this group benefit package. And so employers, the minimum is 2 people. It could be husband and wife are the only 2 employees. You have now have access to group health insurance that's competitive with the big dogs. And I've heard some larger employers that have taken a look at this plan and said, even though I know you geared this for the smaller employers, they're already switching over and buying in. The monthly rates are incredible. The deductibles are lower. For those of you that are in business, if you've seen increases less than 10%, let me know, because health insurance is a brutal market out there right now. And it's a small piece, but something that we're very proud of. So again, I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning, saying 100 years, some things will never change, but we're continuing to add, build, and respond to our members. So Jenny, do you have another microphone you want me to give for questions? Right.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I'm a retired small employer who still owns a business with my wife. Until about 2008, my business could provide health insurance benefits to my employees. I'm not going to go into why, but with the Affordable Care Act for my business, it became unaffordable. And I've been unable to provide that. That was one of my goals when I went into business in 1990. It was one of the things that I personally wanted to do as an employer. So I was very saddened when it became unaffordable. And it excites me that you say you have a program available right now. And my son is running our business right now. I would certainly appreciate more information about this that I can give to him so that we can review it and look into it. And possibly, if it is affordable now, we could reinstate something that we had before the law changed.
Thank you, Jim. And I can certainly relate. One thing I didn't mention, because again, I think a lot of people knew, I came into the chamber position after having been a member of the Chamber of Commerce and operating businesses here for about 20 years. And I absolutely relate. At that time, prior to 2008, I was very competitive in my benefits packages, and I felt like I could recruit and thank you. I felt like I could recruit, retain, and do the things by offering packages that were better than most of my competition. Over the course of those years, I got into a position to where I bought the only thing I could afford, and that meant crappy packages that, quite honestly, if most of my employees ever had a catastrophic incident, the insurance would do no good for them. It would bankrupt them. And that's all that I could afford by the end of that. So it is a proud moment to bring this back, and would love to talk to your son.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Questions? I saw Brenda, Susan, and Beth.
I just want to say that it was, I got bits and pieces of what you were trying to say, but you were not close enough to the microphone for me to hear all of it. So when you ask your questions, could you, and everybody else that's asking questions, there's some of us that are getting older. And I've got my hearing aids on, but I want to hear, this is, the little bits that I heard are exciting, and I want to know more, but it's been kind of frustrating. So I need to get my say in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll talk into the microphone. Bev, let's grab coffee. We'll do the whole thing all over again. Let me take you to coffee. I would love to catch up on all the stuff I'm working on without a microphone.
So I have a question about Salem. Surprise. What do you think Salem gets right about what's happening here, and what do you think they need to do better on?
Yeah, I think that's a good question and a very hard question, Susan. Let me start with the easy part. What could we do better on? We've all seen the statistics. We have an absolutely incredible governor's office here with us locally. If you haven't met our regional solutions rep, Jessica LaBerge, you should. She's an incredible human being that represents our region from the governor's office and is very in tune with rural Oregon. But with that being said, we see the statistics. The Governor's Prosperity Council just released their report. Our competitiveness, our taxation, and our structure to attract new or growing businesses is unmentionable. I mean, I when people come to me wanting to start a new business in Oregon, I'm so grateful, but I'm also fearful because it is not a business-friendly state. We're losing businesses to more competitive regions. And that's not a partisan issue, that's a state issue that we have done a horrible job at. And I think it is because we have become partisan. I'm not blaming it on one side or the other, but we're not competitive and we need to address that. As far as what we do a great job at is that is going to be our passion. And again, sometimes these questions aren't easy. I'll use one, for example, you know, you and I just recently had a conversation about the intersection of environmental concerns and business concerns. And when those two things collide, where do we find ourselves in the middle? And the passion around all of those conversations, we're certainly not lacking. It's just a matter of working through and finding common ground.
You answered most of my questions and you might have answered this one, and I might not have heard it. If you have, or the leadership project, can you say what that is if you didn't say it? And my other question is, on the beer walk, is there wine options?
I've got good news for you on both of those. The Rogue Leadership Training Experience has a website, but I've also brought a flyer. There are a couple on each of the tables and also some. So all of your questions could be answered either through the flyer or the website, or maybe I owe you coffee as well. On the second piece, we did leadership and then wine. Okay. So we do 2 events throughout the year. One's called Tap Walk, and unfortunately, that one is going to be all beer. You hang tight because in May we do wine stroll, and it's all wine. I was bad.
Yeah. There would be cider. Oh, there would be cider. There would be cider. Good option. Yeah, at the tap walks.
Two questions. Do you miss the small business development center being downtown? And the other is, can you talk a little bit about the rents for leasing or renting commercial property downtown?
Sure. Let me start with the Small Business Development Center. Not that it was downtown. It was most recently at Rogue Community College. And that was an absolutely huge loss to lose that partnership. I'm very active, very involved. Great news for you is that under the SBDC umbrella and the free advising that they provide to businesses, I was a little bit worried about what that would look like. They hired Karen Ramolino and Kenny Hauk, who had both been under the RCC Small Business Development Center umbrella, and they will still be providing those services. I worked with Bela's wife and the RCC team about the programs that they're providing. They have definitely stepped up and have always been in this space, but some of those educational pieces, RCC, very, very confident. Another plug for them. I mean, RCC is the fastest post-secondary educational institution in the entire state of Oregon, and they are meeting the demands of our community. They're not just pushing out curriculum and agenda. They're very in tune with the needs of our business community, and we are well positioned. That doesn't mean there aren't some gaps. The small business management course is currently not being offered by either organization. It's something that internally we'll take a look at if the chamber can help support that and facilitate that in some of our programming. I think the pieces are coming back together. It was certainly a concern when we heard that relationship was going away. As it relates to rents, if I understand correctly, maybe the question is geared toward, are we starting to price ourselves out? Is it a pricing issue? Definitely a concern, and kind of goes back to some of the questions that, you know, Susan and I talk about, or we're talking about in Salem. I don't, you know, maybe I'm overly optimistic, and there's going to be a few exceptions to this rule. I don't think that there's just a bunch of greedy landlords that are trying to make a ton of money. I think that not only the cost of doing business, but the cost of owning those buildings, whether it's keeping up to date with current building standards, whether it's simply insuring them. I mean, if any of you live in 9727 districts, you know, it's the same for businesses. If you can even get property insurance. Right now, it's very challenging. Now, downtown Grants Pass might be a slight exception to the rule as it relates to the fire piece, but again, it's just a general cost of doing business. I don't per se always just blame it on the landlord. There's a lot of work to be done there. Jenny, if I can, Nikki, can you come up and talk about your role, what your goals are? If there's more questions, I'm happy to answer them, but this is the most exciting thing in my life right now.
Thank you for your kind words, Terry. So I am in week 3 as the regional workforce. Oh, you're right. Sorry about that. Anyways, so essentially the job is connecting business owners' needs with employees that are available both through the state and through our awesome community. My inbox the day after the big shout out went out was just filling up, and people want to work. People want to be a part of something and contribute to their families, and we all know how that feels to well, I know especially to land my dream job, but even down to entry level. So 16 years old to 24 is the youth that I'm working with. In addition to that, we go all the way up to no limit. Am I loud enough back there? Okay. So removing the tech and inputting me as the connector is really what we're working with. The cool thing, and I've got some flyers back on the pool table, but the really cool thing that I did not know about after being in HR here for 10 years, plus managing all the different locations, I always thought if there was an upline for me, so if there was an opportunity that I can get some additional education, some additional training, I did go to college, but restaurants are a different world, right? So the cool thing through RWP is they offer 3 options. So there is incumbent work training, there is on-the-job training, and there's also the youth internship program. And they have millions of tax business dollars that they are required to spend in Josephine and Jackson County. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Josephine County, I don't have the statistics, nor do I have them memorized, but it's not being utilized as much as it is in Jackson County because there wasn't a representative over here. So I'm kind of servicing both Jackson and Josephine County, but really focusing on our hometown. So if you're a business owner, or if you are looking for employment, or if you know anybody who is one of those, and I think everybody we know is either one or the other, right? Or if you can think of any youth that would be interested, or people who are in certain positions, say like here, if I would have just known QuickBooks, that would have made my life a lot easier. So they are willing to pay for that to upline your employees. So investing in your people is, I mean, it's the biggest ROI, right? Return of investment, taking care of your staff and yourself, should you need any additional training. So I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, I did want to say, Doug's not here today, but he and I are working together to repeat what he did prior with the Rogue build. And that is at the Rogue retreat. So the energy that was in the room and the excitement of these contractors, lawyers, it was just super, super cool. So they're going to repeat that hopefully with both the school districts as well. So that's just something that it's out there. So tell Doug, I'm sorry he's not here today. He's in trouble.
I think the other thing to add, and I'll make it quick, is it's not just connecting existing jobs with existing job seekers. Through the chamber, we have the honor and privilege to know a lot of people's stories behind the scenes. So Master Brand, this close to opening a second shift, one of the largest barriers for them is the thought of having to hire 100 people. Nikki's going to get that across the finish line. We have companies like ESAM that are building wiring harnesses that they've just raised their prices, hoping that they don't get any more bids through their government jobs, knowing that those folks, if removing the barrier to getting qualified workers was there, would be able to grow and expand. So that's an additional piece there, not just currently hiring, currently working, expanding the more jobs in our community.
Thank you so much, Terry. And thank you, Nikki. So we've got a little bit of time left with our very favorite Luke Kramer to come up with Sergeant at Arms.
Okay, I'm gonna rush through some of this since we are running a little bit late. But basically, what I wanted to do was follow up on what we did with glimmers and awe. And the next natural step to me is bumper stickers. Small fixtures of self-expression. If you go back in the history of the US, the first ones really came out in the 1940s and were mainly for commercial kinds of things. How many of you remember a bumper sticker that said, "Where in the hell is Waldrop?" Few of you oldsters do. But they didn't really pick up until the 1940s because of the lack of a self-stick vinyl. And so it was a technological thing. The early ones tended to be political and travel oriented, like wall drugs. But they were also something that stuck with you as you saw it. When you saw the wall drug one, for instance, you felt like you were part of the in crowd if you had it on your particular car. The very first bumper sticker that I can remember was a political one, and "I like Ike" in the 1952 elections. So basically, politics and travel is one way. Some of them become religious. God said it, I believe it, and that settles it. God is dead, Nietzsche. Nietzsche is dead, God. Some of the self-expression things that were important to you. I don't care what you love, what your other car is, or what you'd rather be doing. But an interesting philosophical one, remember who you wanted to be. In terms of society, if we aren't supposed to eat animals, why are they made out of meat? If ignorance is bliss, why aren't more people happy? One that I'm sure all of you have seen, the make love, not war kind of thing. My favorites were, still are, wordplay kinds of things, as some of you might assume. Intelligent design is neither. My karma ran over your dogma. And my ultimate favorite is visualize world peace. So I had a few more places to go here, but I want to leave time, obviously, for Happy Bucks. And in terms of Happy Bucks, what I'd like you to do is give me your favorite bumper sticker. And me being the only judge, I have a Dutch Bro card to the one that I like the best. Okay, so fire away. Yes.
I love this one. We saw it on a semi truck, and you know how they've got the little windows, you know, down at the bottom of the truck. I don't know what they're called specifically, but they have this bumper sticker on there that said "Fire Putter Outer Inside." That one has stuck with me forever because I just sat there and I was laughing at this truck forever. And I'm going to break the rules just because I've wanted to say this for the last 3 weeks, but we've been on specific things. My daughter and son-in-law have moved back.
Congratulations.
On my way over to John, I'm gonna say my favorite is the "Tell Your Dog I Said Hi" bumper sticker.
This one has not been printed yet, but I'm gonna try to get one printed. It's gonna say, "What's the matter, you?"
So my favorite bumper stickers to read, and that we don't
use bumper stickers, but we did put this one on was my child is student of the month at etc.
I never put bumper stickers on my car, but I have dozens of them. My favorite is question everything or question authority that I saw in your door when I was a teenager. But I bought one recently for our dump truck. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with Simon's cat. And he's pointing at his food bowl. And I put it over the gas cap to my diesel dump truck.
That's the nice thing about bumper stickers is you can put them in a lot of places other than bumpers.
My favorite one is I was driving down the freeway one day and I was behind a VW van. There was a dog in the front seat, on the passenger seat, and there was a bumper sticker that said, "Dog is my cobra."
Stretching the rules just a little bit, I was on a walk yesterday, I walked by a church and I saw a message that was not necessarily religious. And I can't remember the exact name of the person, but on it, it said, "So-and-so, inventor of the heat index, died today at 91. But he felt like 108.
Sorry, Debbie, but I always liked the bumper sticker that said, my child beat up the student of the month."
When my kids were little, I had one on several of our cars that said, "Silence is golden, but duct tape is silver."
Any more?
Mine is a bumper sticker, but it's a magnet.
Oh, it's a magnet on my refrigerator,
Okay, that's good enough.
but it's, go forth, act decent, call your mother from time to time.
Cool.
The duct tape one reminded me of this one, and it says, "Duct tape cannot fix stupid."
Yeah.
And just a reminder for anybody who doesn't have cash on them, there are QR codes on the table.
She doesn't want to do it, Nick?
She says it's inappropriate, so she's changed her mind.
Nothing is in.
Okay, fine.
It's a magnet on my refrigerator that says she was 2 drinks away from proving his mother right.
All right, any more last ones? Okay, I'll sneak this card to one of you. It's the King of Hearts is the card that's been rolled out there. All right, see you at the social this evening.
Thank you. It is always fun. All right, I do have a thought for the day for you all. It's combined with a little bit of sadness. We lost one of the greats that we all agree upon. I knew within 45 minutes, and everybody in the tutoring center was just devastated. So I've got some great quotes from our dear Dolly Parton. If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Find out who you are and do it on purpose. And if I see someone without a smile, I give them mine. We love you, Dolly.